Hi, this is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk about one of my YouTube subscribers who just emailed me to tell me that he had just sold his house and put all of the money into Bitcoin. If you're interested in learning how to make money in both bull and bear markets, or you just want to hear what I'm trading or investing in, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So I got an email over the weekend from a YouTube subscriber who told me he had just finished selling his house and moving the money into Bitcoin. Now, if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, if you want to learn the fundamentals of it, you can check out, I'll link to this video on Bitcoin for beginners. But let's talk about this person's situation. Basically, he sold his house, sold his car. When he sold his house, he had a mortgage on that, which got paid off. And by selling his house and car, he was able to net $150,000. Now, I should say this guy is still single, doesn't have a family, doesn't have any dependents. And I should also say that this is a pretty high risk move. I would say it's high risk, high reward. But he netted $150,000 after taxes, after mortgage, after everything, and he used it a few days ago to buy 15 Bitcoin approximately. Bitcoin's been below 10,000, so he probably bought a little bit more. But just for rounding error, he bought about 15 Bitcoin. And now he has he's totally upturned his life, has moved in with a friend, is renting a room from a friend in a downtown area for just a few $100s a month, and he's now able to walk to work. And as I understand, he's in tech, and he does a lot of work remotely as well. So he really could be living anywhere, but I guess he wanted a company with a friend, and was basically able to, by downsizing so drastically, taking this very high risk move, was able to accumulate 15 Bitcoin. So I wanted to pass this on to you guys because I think this is a fascinating story. Now, why would someone do this? Why would they be crazy enough to do this? Well, I'm going to link to this podcast with Plan B, who's come up with a bunch of models about where he thinks Bitcoin will be in the next couple years. Bitcoin's currently trading about $9,600, $9,700 dollars per Bitcoin as I'm recording this. Now, one does not need to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. And I should say that none of this is investment recommendation of any sort. Bitcoin's very risky. It's either headed to a million or headed to zero, in my opinion. And I should also disclose that I own a lot of Bitcoin. This is the investment that I'm most excited about for the next few years. Now, if you listen to this Plan B podcast, and this guy is a serious institutional investor. He's a quant. He works for a pension fund in the Netherlands, and so he's not really some fly-by-night guy. Very smart guy who has developed a quantitative model, a regression model that looks at the supply of Bitcoin that's coming on the market and looks at its correlation with price and with the total market cap of Bitcoin, and compares it to certain other scarce assets like gold and silver, etc. He comes out with some really amazing price targets. So we just had the 2020 halving in May of this year, and so his price target for the next year and a half, call it, we're entering the most bullish part of the Bitcoin cycle, the 18 months following the halving. He's got a couple different models, but they're predicting anywhere from $50,000 per Bitcoin to $288,000 per Bitcoin. Now, these obviously Bitcoin could undershoot, it could overshoot, it could even go above 288,000. And he says for his models to remain viable, this would need to happen by the end of 2021. Personally, I think that we will we'll see new highs in Bitcoin by the end of 2020. We'll be above 20,000. And we'll probably, if I had to guess, I would say we'd be above 100,000 by the summer of 2021, so about a year from now. Now, if you look at his model for his targeted prices for the next few years, in 2024 we have the next halving. He's projecting a $400,000 price target on Bitcoin there. 2028, a $3 million target for one Bitcoin. So this guy we were talking about, and he does want to remain anonymous. Unfortunately, I would love to do an interview with him. He says so he owns 15 Bitcoin now, doesn't own a house anymore, but owns Bitcoin. If Bitcoin hits 100,000, his net worth, just in his Bitcoin, I don't know what his other assets are, will be $1.5 million. So that could happen as soon as next summer, possibly even this year, given a lot of the macro factors that we're seeing, such as central bank money printing, which we're going to talk about at the end of this video. If Bitcoin hits $1 million, which is projected to do, according to Plan B, sometime between 2024 and 2028, this guy is going to be worth $15 million. Now, he obviously has to pay taxes on it, or he could borrow against it and not have to sell it and continue to make use of the money. But either way, he's going to go from someone who had about approximately $150,000 in equity in his house and in his car to someone who's worth $15 million, which would obviously put him very, very high up in terms of net worth, both of the U.S. and globally, even after paying, call it 30% or 40% taxes on this, depending where he lives. And he did ask that I not disclose where he lives or any personal data like that. I'm going to link to these papers so you can see them for yourselves. Plan B has 3 papers on Medium, published on Medium. These are available for free. Bitcoin stock to flow cross asset model. He talks a little bit about efficient market hypothesis and how his model can work with that. And then modeling Bitcoin value with scarcity, which is the original one. And this is where you can see how you can come up with these price targets. Now, obviously, this is a model. This is a quant model. It could break. It might not work. But I think the upside, I'm personally betting on. I think it'd be very easy for Bitcoin to get to 100,000 per Bitcoin. And you can see if you look in his stock to flow cross asset model paper, this is the most underlined highlight in the paper. This translates to a Bitcoin price of 288,000 per Bitcoin sometime between 2020 and 2024, presumably by the end of 2021, simply because of how you get your most bullish moves in Bitcoin. You get your very strong bull market right after the halving, and we're entering that period right now, from now until the end of 2021. Now, after the halving, before the May 2020 halving, which we had a few weeks ago, there were 1,800 new Bitcoin being created every day. This is because of the halving. Basically, the miner's reward or subsidy gets cut in half. Now there are only 900 Bitcoin being mined every day. There are only going to be 21 million Bitcoin in the world, not even enough for every millionaire in the U.S. to buy 2 Bitcoin. And so this is a very scarce asset. It responds really well to money printing, and that's really what we're seeing in this macro environment with COVID and being at sort of the end of the super cycle for debt. The Federal Reserve, which is the U.S. central bank, has had to print a lot of money, and in doing so, increase the money supply. The money supply just exploding in the first half of 2020. And then the Fed is using that to buy lots of assets, including treasuries, munis, even junk bonds. This is one reason that Bitcoin has been performing so well this year. It's up more than any other asset class. It's another reason that gold has been performing so well. So in summary, I would say that this what this guy is doing is extremely aggressive and risky. Bitcoin could obviously go to zero, and he could lose all $150,000 that he invested. On the other hand, he's still fairly young, doesn't have dependents, and has a good job in tech, probably not in danger of being unemployed anytime soon. And so I think it's an interesting gamble. It's definitely not an investment recommendation or suggestion for anyone else to do. I own a lot of Bitcoin, but I have not sold my house and moved into a trailer yet. I'm not sure my wife and kids would be happy with that. But I thought I'd share this story with you guys. It's kind of inspiring. It's obviously risky, a little bit crazy, but we'll see what happens to this guy. And maybe we'll look back and say, wow, that guy he made the right move. He turned $150,000 into $15 million. Hit that subscribe and like video if you found this video helpful or entertaining. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.